All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of D&D Deep Dive, the show where we dive deep into classes, subclasses, and other features of 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons to help you get the most out of your choices. So, today, we are continuing along the path of monkdom from Tasha's. We are going to be covering the Way of the Astral Self monk. And again, I really like monks. They are my favorite class in 5th edition. In most RPGs, monks are my favorite class. So, yeah, let's dive into this. Now, for the last video, I didn't go over this like I normally do, but that was because we were doing the optional features and I talked about it anyway. But as a quick refresher on how monks work, and 5th edition class design. All the classes are supposed to play very differently. The things that make them play differently should show up within the first 2 levels. We call that their defining features. The monk, their 2 kind of big defining features are the martial arts die, which is effectively, or the martial arts feature, which is effectively their unarmed strikes do more damage than anybody else's. They start as a D4 and they get bigger as they go along. And they can use that martial arts die for damage on monk weapons as well. Then the other thing they get is key. It's a different resource. They have as many key points as they have monk levels, and they can use key to do a lot of things. Things like flurry of blows, where they can make more attacks by burning a key point. Things like patient defense, where they get to take the dodge action as a bonus action, which means everybody has disadvantage against attacks on them. There's a lot of different things they can do with key, but the kind of defining features of the monk are the martial arts and the key, with things like unarmored movement, meaning they're hyper mobile, being kind of a secondary feature, and their unarmored defense, meaning they don't need any armor to have an armor class. They add both their wisdom and their dexterity, being kind of the secondary characteristics of the monk. So, getting into the Way of the Astral Self. First things first, I've mentioned this before in my series on Tasha. Every little section, Tasha will have a little quip that she makes about it. And I have to share the one for Way of the Astral Self. Tasha writes, note to self, create a spell that lets you throat punch people with your ghost. And that really describes the Way of the Astral Self. Those of you that have been watching D&D Deep Dive for a while, I did cover the Way of the Astral Self monk in a previous video. And if you watch that video, I was not particularly kind to that specific monk subclass, because the Unearthed version was massively broken. It was super powerful. It could outdamage any melee class, and it could almost outdamage spellcasters, which is really impressive. So, yeah, I was not particularly fond of the old Way of the Astral Self. It was cool, but it was a massive just power fantasy kind of thing. And it would just make any other class not fun to play when they were at the table. They made some changes, which I think are really good. So let's jump into the actual features. Right at 3rd level, first things first, it makes us unique for the Tasha subclasses we've talked about thus far. You only get one thing at the 3rd level, unlike the other monk class where you got 3 different things, or some of the ranger ones where you'd get 2 or 3. Just get one, but it's a doozy. It's called Arms of the Astral Self. Effectively, as a bonus action, you can burn a key point to summon Arms of your Astral Self. And your astral self, the way it's defined here is um, uh, a monk who follows the way of the astral self believes their body is an illusion. They see their ki as a representation of their true form and astral self. So, what these arms are is this is your true self manifesting. The way your monk sees themselves is how these arms are going to look. They could look just like your regular arms. They could look completely different, but you effectively get a second set of limbs. When you summon them, every creature of your choice, which is always nice, that you can see within 10 feet of you must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take force damage equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts die. So right at the 3rd level, that's 2d4 damage, which is not a massive amount. But that's not the only thing that happens. For 10 minutes, these spectral arms hover either near your shoulders or surround your arms. So either you get 2 more arms that just kind of float way up here, and then you have your other ones down here, or they basically cover your regular arms like astral armor. And they mention you get to determine the arm's appearance. They vanish early if you're incapacitated or die. And when they're present, you get the following benefits. You can use wisdom instead of strength when making strength checks and strength saving throws. Really, really important if you want to be a grappling monk, because most monks lowball their strength because they need both dexterity and wisdom, and they never use strength for any of their attacks. It's all dex. So this actually makes it so you can grapple as a monk if you want to. It just costs you a key point for 10 minutes of good grapple ability. You can use the spectral arms to make unarmed strikes. When you make an unarmed strike with the arms in your turn, your reach for it is 5 feet greater than normal. And the unarmed strikes you make with the arms can use your wisdom modifier in place of your strength or dexterity for the attack and damage rolls, and the damage type is force. There's a lot going on here. That's why they only get one thing at the 3rd level. So let's talk about the first thing. For a bonus action, you get a radial attack that only affects the creatures that you want. It doesn't do a ton of damage, but it's enough that it will be noticeable when you hit multiple creatures with it. So that itself is pretty good. However, once you start using the astral arms, that's when things get really, really interesting. First of all, your reach is extended to 10 feet instead of 5 feet, which opens up a load of opportunities for a hypermobile class like the monk. Your ability to hit and run is significantly better when you don't actually have to get within their attack range to do it. One of the things I used to do when I played my monk was I'd call myself this is a stun monkey, because whenever the battle would start, I would find the biggest, toughest dude, and I would go up and I would stunning strike him until he failed. In one turn, I could get 4 stunning strikes off, and I kept my wisdom pretty high. So eventually, unless it was like a giant that have like 26 constitution, eventually I would get this as a stun. After that was done, I could really do whatever I wanted. And a lot of times that would be I'd run out of other targets and stun them, or I'd burn the rest of my attacks just doing extra damage to help the team. Being able to do it at a slight range, effectively giving your self reach, means yes, you can make your stun attacks, but if you fail them, which happens, you can still retreat from the enemy without getting an opportunity to do the attack. If they're stunned, they can't attack you. But if they make their save, then you still have a way to get out. And low-level monks, especially, are super squishy. You can't wear any armor. Most of the magic items that will increase your armor class don't show up until like halfway through to tier 2, sometimes to tier 3. Um, because generally what you use to raise your armor class is armor and shields, neither of which you can use as a monk. So yeah, the reach is a big deal. The other thing that's a big deal is you can use your wisdom modifier for literally everything. This effectively turns the monk from a mad class, multi-attribute dependent, to a sad class or single attribute dependent. It's always a choice when you're playing a monk if you want to increase your dexterity and therefore hit more often and do more damage, or if you want to increase your wisdom, which increases your spell save. Which for a monk, the thing you use your spell save for the most, or the thing that other creatures will use your spell save for the most, is your stunning strike. The higher your wisdom, the harder it's going to be for creatures to resist your stunning strike. It's a Constitution save. And it's a defining feature of the monk. Monks are built for action economy control, and stunning strike is one of the biggest things that will control that, because it takes an entire turn away from character. They lose their action, their movement, their bonus action, and their reaction for a complete turn. So yeah, when you no longer have to worry about dexterity at all, other than it does raise your armor class, so eventually you want to get it up there. But if you don't have to worry about it until your wisdom is maxed, because wisdom will also raise your armor class, this monk can go nuts on wisdom. And that's a big deal. And the fact that you can use wisdom for your attack rolls, plus you can use it for strength checks and strength saves. This is a really cool, versatile monk that can be played very, very differently than any other monk class. Again, I've tried grappling as my shadow monk. It just doesn't work out well because making a grapple requires a strength check. Breaking out of a grapple can be either strength athletics or dexterity acrobatics. Most monsters will have one of those that's decently high. So yeah, the wisdom in place of the strength is a huge thing. So let's move on to sixth level. Sixth level, you get Visage of the Astral self, or Visage, however you want to pronunciate it. Effectively, as a bonus action or as part of the bonus action you take to activate Arms of the Astral self, you can spend a key point to summon this Visage for 10 minutes. The Spectral Visage covers your face like a helmet or mask. You again get to choose its appearance. And when it's present, you gain the following benefits. You get Astral Sight, which is you can see normally in darkness, both magical and non-magical, up to 120 feet, which is really far. Most of the dark vision, first of all, doesn't work in magical darkness, and second of all, only goes to 60 feet. So 120 feet, really useful. You have advantage on Wisdom Insight and Charisma Intimidation checks. So this can be used really well to motivate and influence people. Using intimidation and then also getting information from people. Your insight is super useful in 5th edition. And then the other thing you get is Word of the Spirit. When you speak, you can direct your words to a creature of your choice that you can see within 60 feet of you, making it so only that creature can hear you. Alternatively, you can amplify your voice so that all creatures within 600 feet can hear you. So, the Visage is definitely a more role-playing based ability, which is good. I really think we need more emphasis on role playing in fifth edition in general, or I guess not more, but I know a lot of people that whenever they're looking at a class, the only things they look at is the combat stuff, um, and the role playing stuff can be as valuable, if not more so, in the ability to overcome challenges. So I like that this is a more role playing focused thing. However, that doesn't mean it doesn't have battle benefits. Again, that magical to dark vision out to 100 to 20 feet is super useful. I've mentioned this combo before, but it used to be really popular to take 2 levels in Warlock and then be a Shadow Monk. Because Shadow Monks can cast Darkness, which is cast on an object, not an area. And so what they would do is they would cast Darkness on a pebble, and then they'd pick up the pebble. And as long as they didn't completely close their hand around the pebble, as long as one edge was out, the darkness would follow them. Because it's magical darkness, you need magic to the dark vision. There's an eldritch invocation called Devil's Sight that allows you to see in magical darkness. This effectively would allow this is the same combo, though you would need someone else to cast darkness on something for you. But in addition to being able to effectively be invisible, you would also have reach with all of your attacks if you do this with arms of the astral self, making you even more difficult. Because theoretically, you might still have a creature that tries to make attacks against you and things like that, because they can. If you punch them, they can swing it where they punched, or where they got punched from. If you're 10 feet away, they can swing and swing and swing and swing, and they're never gonna hit you. So yeah, I like that. And then the ability to read people and intimidate people in combat is something I don't see a lot of people utilize, but it's still really it's still a viable option, especially if you can make a ghostly mask appear on your face. I mean, come on, how is that not cool? At 11th level, you get what's called body of the astral self. See how this kind of fits along the theme, where first you get your arms, and then you get your face, and now you get your body. Basically, when you have both your astral arms and your visage summoned, you can cause the body of your astral self to appear. No action required. So it costs a key to get your arms out. It costs a key to put on your visage. But putting a body of the astral self doesn't cost anything. It just appears with the rest of them if you want. The nice thing about all these abilities is they are all kind of a la carte things. You can use Visage of the astral self without using arms. You can use both Visage and arms without using body if you don't want to. The spectral body covers your physical form like a suit of armor, connecting with the arms and visage. You determine its appearance. You have just become Ghost to Tony Stark. Congratulations, Astral Man. You get the following benefits when your body of the astral self exists. Whenever you take acid, cold, fire, force, lightning, or thunder damage, you can use your reaction to deflect it. When you do so, the damage you take is reduced by 1d10 plus your wisdom modifier. This is effectively catch missile or deflect missile, which is a baseline monk ability where they can like catch arrows and stuff like that, except it works on magic effectively. Now, you can't throw it back like you could with deflect missiles, but this is still a massively useful thing. The other thing that's nice, it gives you a use for your reaction. Again, action economy talk. Any time you can use your bonus action, your action, and your reaction in a turn. That's a good thing. You are giving yourself more actions than your opponent, and that's what you want. Whichever side has more actions that they can do is going to have an advantage in the fight. So I'm always a fan of being able to use your reaction for something. And when I was when I was playing my monk, I used deflect missiles a lot. It's a really useful ability. I also had what was it called? Parry, effectively. It wasn't that. There's a feat that for the life of me, I can't remember what it's called, but you basically need a finesse weapon. You need to be wielding a finesse weapon and nothing else. And you can actually attempt to parry an attack where you add your proficiency bonus to your armor class versus a single attack, and it takes your reaction. So my monk would use the parry thing that I can't remember right now, and would use deflect arrows a lot because I always ran into danger, and because I was just a stun monkey, I was generally a target a lot. So deflect energy, super useful. In addition to that, you get empowered arms. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a target with arms of the Astral self, you can deal extra damage to the target equal to your martial arts die. This is where, if you looked at the original Unearthed Arcana version of this, we had issues. But because they had something like in powered arms, but it was on every single attack, and it did more than a single martial arts die. I think it did like two martial arts die or something. Like it was really powerful. So within powered arms, it's extra damage, which is good. Monks are not really designed to be super powerhouses as far as doing tons of damage. But as you get to higher levels, like each attack you do is a d10 of damage. And if you Flurry of Blows, that's 4 attacks. That's 4 d10 plus your dex normally, which at that point, you probably have it at a 5. So that's 4d10 plus to 20. That's a decent chunk of damage. This will effectively turn that into 5d10 plus to 20. So it's not a massive change, but it's enough that it's going to make a difference, which is good. So yeah, overall, I like Body of the Astral Self. To be honest, at this point, I'm actually enjoying more of the fact that you get to create a ghost armor or a ghost form almost more than the mechanical benefits, because I just really like the idea of maybe like a gnome astral monk is just kind of sitting there. It's like, I don't know. And then they summon their astral self, and it's like a dragon born with like frills and massive muscles, and they're just sitting there in the center of this going, like I love that idea. And again, if you want to go something different, if you want to be, Monk Iron Man, you can just go, well, I think my astral self is Warforged. Or I think my astral self is actually connected to the plane of order, which is very mechanical. Or maybe, I'm a follower of Ioun, which is knowledge, and so you're very steampunky because you attribute steampunkiness with Ioun. There's so many different ways you could create this really cool kind of avatar you get to jump into. So I love that. I think it's really cool. 17th level, you get Awakened Astral Self. As a bonus action, you can spend 5 key points. This is a big one. To summon the arms, Visage, and body of your astral self and awaken it for 10 minutes. The awakening ends early if you're incapacitated or die. When you are awakened, you gain the following benefits. You get +2 to your armor class, super useful, and which is called Armor. This is the spirit, and then you also get Astral Barrage. Whenever you use the extra attack feature to attack twice, you can instead attack 3 times if all the attacks are made with your astral arms. This gives you more, if you Flurry of Blows, this gives you more attacks than a 20th level fighter. Now, they did something interesting with this, because one of the things that makes fighters as interesting as they are and as powerful as they are at higher levels, especially once they get their fourth attack, is fighters can use magic weapons really, really well, especially ones that proc extra damage or anything like that on a hit. The Astral Monk, despite the fact that it gets an additional attack, because all the attacks have to be made with your Astral arms, that means you don't have to worry about a monk getting a really powerful, or even not that powerful, but just like a Frostbrand short sword or something like that, where it does extra damage on every attack. When you combine that with the Astral Arms and the extra damage and the force like it can get really, really overpowered really quickly. Because this limits it to your Astral Arms, it also kind of caps the amount of damage it can do. Still a ton of damage. Again, at 17th level, you'll have a D10 for your die. So if you're making 5 attacks, you flip a flurry of blows, it just costs a single key point. You make 5 attacks. That's 5d to 10 damage, plus your additional damage from body of the astral self. So that turns it to 60 d10 plus 25 damage. That is easily a 6th or 7th level spell. And it only costs you a grand total of 6 key points. 5 to turn on the Awakened form, and then a 6th one for the Flurry. Just a lot of damage. This monk can be a good damage dealer, in addition to being the action economy controller. And I think that's where this class excels, is that idea of you're going to have to choose. You can now fill multiple roles, and you're going to have to choose which role you want to fill in this particular combat. And it'll affect how you use your key points, because a lot of the things that allow monks to control the battle are reliant on spending at least one key point. Yeah. Final thoughts on this. Compared to the Unearthed Arcana version, this is so much better. The only thing I am just the tiniest bit iffy on is the area damage you get from Arms of the Astral Self when you first burst it. And the only reason I'm quote-unquote iffy on it is because the class really doesn't need it. There's so much with this class that is already really powerful that just giving them an additional area damage that they can do whenever they want for just a single key point, I just don't think is that necessary. Nor do I think it's really necessary from a lore standpoint. Just having the arms appear would make perfect sense. Right now, they kind of appear in this big burst of energy. So that's the only thing I'm kind of iffy on. Not iffy enough that I would ever want to home rule it out, though. Like I said, I think this is so much better than the original version of the class. It feels balanced. Obviously, I would want to see how it plays before making an absolute final judgment. But everything I'm reading here, it seems balanced. It seems fun. This monk will play very, very differently than any other monk's subclass, which I like. I think that's what a subclass is for. You should be able to have multiple monks on the same team. As long as they're different subclasses, neither one should feel like they're being eclipsed by the other one because they can do the same things. No, the subclass should emphasize different things. And I think this does really, really well. Yeah. Like I said, I think it's cool. It's interesting. I love it. I want to see someone play it. I want to play it, to be blunt. I think this would be such a fun monk to play. Anyway, that is going to be all for me today. As always, if you enjoyed this, please hit that like button. Really, really, just hit it. Hit it really hard. Just punch the like button. Lets me know you like this. It lets Google know you like this. And if enough people let Google know they like it, Google might let other people see it. So that's really important. Also, hit the subscribe button because of Tasha's and my brand new series, Mastering Astral Projection, which is all about what you can do to run a game online and still keep that feeling of being at a table together. I am putting out a ton of content. So hit the subscribe button so it all gets sent right to your subscription box, and hit the notification bell so that when I do release these at odd times, because my mental health is mean to me, you never have to worry about missing one of the videos. In the comments below, what would your astral self look like? And you can tell me what you personally, like you as a person, what your astral self would look like, or any of the characters you have ever played in any RPG ever. I don't care who it is. I just want to know if their inner person, their personality on the inside, could come out and express itself. What would it look like? Because I love that aspect of this. So put that in the comments down below. Anyway, again, that is all for me today, and I will see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye!